What's going on, guys? Andrew Newbark Gaming back here, and welcome to today's episode of Newbark News for February 6, 2019. Now, a couple quick disclaimers on this one. First off, I was having a little bit of trouble finding some interesting articles to cover for today's episode. In addition to that, I'm pretty crunched for time at the moment, so we're going to keep today's episode short and sweet. Additionally, if you're watching this on YouTube, due to my crunch schedule, I don't have gameplay footage on screen like usual. Instead, I've just got kind of the logo, so just sit back and listen if you're watching it. Sorry about that, but with all that being said, let's go ahead and truck right into things. So starting off, we got an article coming at us from GameSpot, and I'm aware I'm a little bit behind on this information, but Xbox Live has apparently been announced to be coming to Switch, iOS, and Android devices. Now, the whole iOS and Android thing isn't necessarily surprising given how apps like Steam Link, the Steam Community app, the PlayStation Network app all already exist for those platforms. So the idea of being able to message your friends, maybe access the Microsoft Store, perhaps like stream games from your Xbox to like your phone screen, all of that isn't necessarily surprising. That just seems to kind of go in tandem with the trends that are going around nowadays. Now, the weird thing here is the idea of Xbox Live, which is Microsoft's online gaming service, coming to the Nintendo Switch when Nintendo offers their own online gaming service. My question here is this just going to function very similarly to like the Steam app on phones, where it's okay, I can boot up my Switch, I can then access the store, I can message my friends, you could access the Microsoft Store for your Xbox, you could message your friends, those types of things through the Xbox Live service? Or is there going to be more to this, i.e. are you able to do like Xbox Live voice chat through the Switch and those types of things? Is it possible that maybe now they're going to be pushing even further into the whole cross-play compatibility thing between the Switch and the Xbox Live? Could this even be the starting of some kind of a team-up between Nintendo and Xbox? I mean, after all, they've been a lot more cooperative towards the cross-play ideals than, say, Sony has, and both of them have kind of lost out a little bit this generation when it comes to facing down the monstrosity of a beast when it comes to sales that is the Sony PlayStation 4 right now. So I just wonder more so what this may mean for the future than anything. At this point, I doubt the service is going to be doing a whole lot, but is it possible that eventually we see more integration of it? Perhaps Nintendo even adopts Xbox Live as its primary service somewhere down the road, especially considering their online services often get a lot of complaints. Despite the fact that it is cheaper, has free games, there still are a lot of drawbacks, i.e. the voice chat service. And that's going to go ahead and pivot us perfectly. So segueing straight into our second article here, this one's going to be coming to us from The Verge, and it's about the company that developed Fortnite's chat system, which is known as Vivox, is apparently working for a similar service that can be used throughout Nintendo Switch games. Now, like I was mentioning about Nintendo Switch's online service at the moment, there are a decent number of drawbacks to it that the online services that are competing with it, such as PlayStation Network and Steam and Xbox, all don't necessarily have. For example, for a lot of online games for the Nintendo Switch, you have to download an entirely separate app or use some kind of a fan-hacked setup just to be able to talk to your friends while playing the game. At which point, why wouldn't you just connect through Discord or something is kind of my question, especially considering if you have to use a phone app anyway, Discord does have a functioning phone app, and it kind of just makes things more of a pain to the players. Versus with this offers the possibility to integrate this system into your games that have instant access to the voice chat. My imagining from the article is it would work something similar to supposedly what Fortnite's chat system works like, which is basically, from my understanding at least, being able to talk to your friends through the game versus necessarily directly through the online service, say the way you would with like an Xbox Live party chat or whatever. So this is very good news for Switch fans, and I think it's overall a pretty good thing for Nintendo, given that's been one of their biggest complaints for a long time now. So let's go ahead and move on to our next article, guys. And this one, coming to us from Eurogamer, is actually going to wrap up our Nintendo news for the day, and that's that Super Mario Bros. 2 and Kirby's Adventure have been announced to be coming to the Nintendo Switch online service. Now, when the Switch launched its online service, it also came out with a series of NES games that you would have free access to play while you were subscribed to the service, which is pretty awesome, and the fact that they're adding Super Mario Bros. 2 and Kirby to that just writes to me that Nintendo is going to be continuously expanding the service. We've also gotten rumors here a lot lately that they may be adding Super Nintendo games coming here pretty soon, so even though some of their features such as voice chat and stuff don't necessarily work as well as they probably should for a modern online gaming service that you're paying for especially, they do offer these as kind of a setback. I mean, I guess you could equate it almost to more like the PlayStation Plus free games, although Nintendo's going more the vintage route as opposed to modern games, so give or take there, kind of depends on the player which one you prefer, but it's cool to see that they're continuously working on that. Now, what's weird to me is in the same article they talk about how Japan's getting an additional game later this month, and it's going to be a wrestling game called Supari Ozumao. Probably completely butchered that pronunciation, so make what you will of that. But apparently these are being released on February 13th. I think it's kind of odd that they're making a release that's specifically to Japan, unless this NES game was initially a Japan exclusive to begin with, and they don't want to necessarily have to deal with translations, patches, etc. But But the good news is making a different country's online Switch account isn't particularly hard. You can essentially just set your region and you're square to go from my understanding. So with that being the case, then you could just access these other ones through a different Switch account. Now granted, that does potentially make things a little bit awkward in terms of the account setup to the online service and everything else, but the possibility is at least there. So let's go ahead and conclude today's news with a little bit about a Star Wars game, and this article is going to be coming to us straight out of GameSpot. Now, with this article, we find out that the Jedi Fallen Order game, which EA previously announced was under development, is going to take place sometime between the events of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and you're basically going to be following the story of some kind of a Jedi Padawan that survived Order 66 and those types of things, will still be coming out later this year. They've announced the release date as supposedly being fall, but we've also heard at different times November or December is also possibly being in there. Regardless, it's good to hear that this game isn't necessarily being canceled, especially after one of the Star Wars projects EA supposedly had in the works was already canceled just a couple of weeks back. Now with that being said, it's also good to see that they're pressing forward with this game, especially considering EA's most recent quarterly financial report showed that 2018 was not such a good year for them. Now bad news on the other hand is this is still EA we're talking about, and unfortunately the past several Star Wars titles they've released, being the remakes of or relaunch I should really say, of the Star Wars Battlefront series, have been absolutely written all over the place with microtransactions, which I personally don't really like with games. It's I bought the game, let me bloody play the thing, you know? Or the idea of pay to win also being an issue there. You know, people who just have tons of money to spend can get right to the greatest upgrades, and if they aren't balanced correctly, then it goes from just offering a new play style to offering a win style, if you get what I'm getting at there. So with all that being the case, I am excited for the potential of a really good new Star Wars game. EA has made good games in the past. A lot of people have said some really good things about Anthem despite some of the technical issues in terms of servers and lagging and load screens and such. The overall gameplay, from what I hear, is very good, so this company is capable of good things, and I think the idea of Jedi Fallen Order may be really good, especially considering it's sounding like it's not a multiplayer-based game. Hopefully not, at least, considering that makes it a lot harder to integrate microtransactions in a very logical way, at least in a way that's similar to the way they did in, say, Battlefront 2, where you're paying for upgrades for the online thing. Now, granted, they still could have the microtransactions in there, could work something similar to a mobile game, but I just feel like that's really clunky, and I think even EA would probably acknowledge it's a bad business decision, given how that's not something that's really done a whole lot with games that are very story-driven. I mean, what are they going to do? Make it so you have to buy each level? I certainly hope not. Please don't do that, EA. Regardless, this is a game I'm looking forward to as a Star Wars fan, and I think there may be some hope, especially considering EA seems to be a little bit more aware of the backlash they've been getting after releasing that quarterly report. I would at least hope they are, so maybe they'll put some more effort into really trying to make a genuine effort with this game. Regardless, we'll just have to wait and see. It is due out later this year. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled like the other one, but that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's Newbark News, guys. Be sure to let me know all your comments, thoughts, theories, etc. in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If not, constructive criticism is always welcome, and I'll catch you guys next time with some more video game news.